Okay, today we're going to do the distributive property, and the distributive property is just another way of multiplying. The difference between multiplying factors with exponents that we did last week and this week is, if you notice in your parentheses you have addition or subtraction. So we're actually going to multiply the terms in the parentheses separately by the number on the outside. So if I look at my first one, I have, oh, lost my sticky. I have 7 times negative 10x squared plus 6x. So I'm going to take the 7 and multiply it by both terms separately on the inside. So I'm going to do 7 times negative 10x squared plus 7 times 6x. Okay, here I don't have any variables with the 7, so I don't have to worry about adding any exponents. I'm just going to multiply the coefficients. So 7 times negative 10 is negative 70, so that's going to be negative 70x squared, and then plus 42x. Okay, so I'm going to put that in my answer spot. Negative 70x squared plus 42x. Submit my answer. All right, let's try another one. So this time I'm still multiplying by 7 on the outside, but now I have 3 terms. Actually very similar of a problem. So I have to distribute that 7 to every single term. So it's going to be 7 times negative 10x squared plus 7 times 7x. Notice there's a minus, so I'm going to put a minus there, minus 7 times 9. So the sign in between the terms are the same signs you're going to use in between your little multiplication problems. So 7 times negative 10x squared is negative 70x squared, plus 7 times 7x is 49x, and then minus 7 times 9 is 63. Now, I can't put any of these terms together because if you remember, we talked about like terms last week with addition and subtraction. So the reason you can't put any of these together is because they don't all have the same variables raised to the same exponent. So the first two have x's, but because the x's aren't raised to the same exponent, I can't put them together. So my final answer is actually going to be 3 terms. So again, it's negative 70x squared plus 49x minus 63. So if there's 3 terms on the inside, you have to distribute that 7 to all 3 of those terms. Okay, let's try another one. All right, so this time I actually have a variable on the outside. So let's get a new sticky for this one. I have x times negative x squared minus 5. So as we talked about last week, I'm going to put that little sneaky one exponent with the x, so I remember to add my exponents when my bases are the same. So I'm going to multiply. So I'm going to have x to the first power times negative, x squared minus x to the first power times 5. So here there's really a positive one here and a negative one here. So 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. X to the first power times x squared. I keep my base the same and add my exponents minus, here I'm just going to put them together, 5x. So I have negative 1x to the third minus 5x. So you can write the negative 1. You could just put the negative sign if you didn't want to. Either one, okay, would be correct. All right, let's do another one. So this time we have numbers and variables on the outside. So good, it's a nice progression of the different problems you might see on this assignment. So I have negative 4x squared times 6x squared plus x. So to kind of help myself out, I'm going to put the sneaky one as the exponent and the 1 as the coefficient. And I'm going to remember that I not only need to multiply that first term by the negative 4x squared, but also the second term. So it's going to become negative 4x squared times, whoops, a little bit crazy there. Let me see if I can erase this. Hold on. There we go. Times 6x squared, and then plus negative 4x squared times 1x. So when I multiply my first set, Negative 4 times 6 is negative 24. Keep my base the same. I add my exponents, so 2 plus 2 is 4. Plus negative 4 times 1 is a negative 4. X squared, let's put that sneaky 1 in there. I add my exponents. 2 plus 1 is x to the third. So we don't like to write the double sign. So whenever you have a plus and a minus next to each other, you can simplify that just to the minus sign. It's when they're the same that it turns into a positive. So my final answer is negative 24x to the fourth minus 4x to the third. So again, I can't put them together because the variables have different exponents. So that's going to be my final answer. Oh, it didn't take my 24. Oh, exponent. Okay, let's do one more. Let's see if we can make it a little bit more complicated. Is there one with the... Okay, let's do this one. There's a lot of negatives in it. Oh. I have a negative 2x squared times negative 5x squared plus 2x. I'm going to put that exponent of a 1 on there. I'm multiplying to both terms in my parentheses. Negative 2x squared times negative 5x squared, plus sign in between, negative 2x squared times 2x to the first power. So I multiply my coefficients, negative 2 and negative 5 is a positive 10. I add my exponents, 2 plus 2 is 4, then plus negative 2 and 2 is negative 4, x squared times x to the first power is x to the third. Anytime I have a plus and a minus next to each other, I can simplify it just to a negative sign. So I have 10x to the fourth minus 4x to the third power. Okay, if you have any additional questions, please send me a message at any time if you need me to go through any more examples.